Hey guys, welcome to Movie Talk. So I went to the screening of The Last of Us TV series episode 1 at the Angelic Film Center on Houston Street in New York City on January 12th. I had a blast. The event was really, really fun. And honestly, I expected it to just be a regular screening, like you just go in, see the episode, and get out. But no, there was effort put into it, and I was happy about that. They decorated like the walls with the posters of Fedra and everything about the infection signs. And once you go in, there were two security checkpoints. One at the entrance of the building, and the second one right before the theater. And because it is a private screening, you're not allowed to have phones, and you're not allowed to carry book bags or big bags or anything like that. So all phones have to be locked in these security pouches. That once you get out, then they unlock it for you. They had some props. I'm showing a couple pictures here. They had some props set up that looks like the workstations during the Last of Us video game and also the TV series. And then you do see like the firefight thing, like when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. And they gave me some free stuff. They gave everyone in the audience some free stuff. You have two choices for the popcorn. One is the butter popcorn, and the other one is the truffle popcorn. I did not get the truffle popcorn, unfortunately, because when the guy handed it to me, I don't fully blame him. He accidentally covered the T, so all I saw was ruffle popcorn. That did not sound appetizing to me, so that's why I did not take it, because that's all I saw at a fast glance. Okay, so I'll just pick the butter one. But when I sat down, I realized the women sitting next to me had the truffle popcorn, and I was like, oh my god, I should have gotten that one. That one actually sounds delicious to me. So that was my fault. So they gave me that. They also you have a choice of soda or water. I chose the water. It's the Essentia, and everyone gets a necklace. So here it is. It's the Firefly logo, and on the back it says "The Last of Us" HBO. So there's that. I took a picture with the clicker in the wall. That was fun. And overall, I thought this event was really well done. The first episode. The first episode. I gotta say, at first I was very skeptical for the show because live action adaptations of video games tend to not be very good. There are, of course, a few exceptions, like Sonic the Hedgehog movies are pretty good. Detective Pikachu was good, and I still think Mortal Kombat, the first one in 1995, that one is still the best video game movie to me. Everything else has been disappointing or bad. Like we got Doom, Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. I thought the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies were good. Well, they're bad, but they're entertaining, so that's why I thought they were good. But the Tomb Raider reboot I thought was disappointing because it's has a few things from the game, but it's too safe. So that's why I was very disappointed by it. I still want a sequel to it though, because I thought that the actress who portrayed Laura was very good. But yeah, and then we get Uncharted, and I did not like that movie. So that's why I was worried about this one because they keep pushing the marketing on Uncharted by saying like, "Oh, it's PlayStation Productions." So that's why I felt after watching Uncharted, I was like, "Oh my god, if this is how they treat Uncharted, how are they going to treat The Last of Us? I feel like it's going to be bad." So that's what I kept thinking the whole time, especially after seeing the cast list. But seeing the trailers, though, the trailers were actually pretty good. I was very surprised, but I was still skeptical. But after watching this episode, I'm glad that I was proven wrong so far. I love this. This show is so far great. This episode was really, really good, especially for something that's based on a video game. So yeah, I love The Last of Us TV series so far. Everyone brought their A game. The one person who I was very worried about is Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Because from the trailers, I thought that she was disappointing. But after seeing her in this episode, wow, she knocked it out of the park. She surprised the hell out of me. She was fantastic. She got the voice down. She got the personality down. She was great. So yeah, I gotta say, great job, kid. Great job. You were great as Ellie. And everyone else was great too. Pedro Pascal was great as Joel. Gabriel Luna was great as Tommy. Anna Torv was so far good as Tess. They don't show much of Tess for the first episode, but from what I've seen of her, yeah, that is still Tess. And Merle Dandridge is back as Marlene, and of course she's still great. They and the thing is that this episode, from did extend more to what we know from the games. So yeah, there are some events that are changed very slightly, and some motivations are changed a bit, but they are mostly intact from the game. What this episode, and I believe what the rest of the TV show is gonna do, is gonna just provide extended scenes to the game. So it's that I'm okay with. Like, if you're gonna give us more and it doesn't feel half-assed, then it's great. And that's what I like about it. It's not half-assed. None of this show so far is half-assed. Everyone brought their A game. The production design is very good. The music, it's the same composer from the Last of Us, so I'm happy about that. So the music is still great too. Yes, and almost everything about this episode is great. There are a couple things I didn't like, and I believe that there might be a payoff to them. So that's why, for now, I am disappointed in some of these things. But I believe there will be a payoff to those. And but there is one thing I really did not like, and that's about one character in this episode. But if I have to talk about that, I have to discuss spoilers. So I am recording this video a couple days before January 15, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, because that's when the actual show premieres. So I don't want to spoil before it premieres. So I am gonna upload this on January 15 after 9 p.m. So yeah, so like I said, I highly recommend this show so far. If you didn't play the game, I think that this show would still be good for you, because again, it is an extension to the game. You don't have to play the game to actually understand these characters. So that's why I thought this show so far is doing a great job, especially compared to other live action adaptations for the other video games. So I'm gonna be discussing spoilers. So again, I recommend this show. Okay, spoilers. All right, so the show begins very differently from the game. It actually starts in 1963 or 1968. I totally forgot the year. But it's in the 1960s. It starts with this interview with the two scientists, and one of them is played by John Hannah, and the other one, and the interviewer is Josh Brenner, who a lot of people might know as Big Head from Silicon Valley. And oh my God, he looks much older here. Like, it's funny because he seems so young in Silicon Valley, but here he seems like he aged like 15 years at least. But that could be the makeup, or I don't know the age of the actor, but still, wow. So the scientists have this interview, and John Hannah starts discussing about the fungi. Because they're talking about the diseases and everything, infections, and John Hannah talks about fungi. He mentions the cordyceps at one point, and he says that in the future that the fungi will take over the world and assimilate and everything. So after that interview ends, then we cut to the year 2003 in September in Austin, Texas. And in the game, when it first starts, we see Sarah sleeping on the couch, and then Joel comes in discussing about his job, and then he wakes up Sarah, and then they were talking about his birthday and everything. So that's how the game starts. But here, Sarah wakes up in the morning, and she wakes up Joel, and then she starts making a birthday breakfast for him. So yeah, so far everything's changing. So this is the morning before the events of the first game. And I was honestly okay with this. I like it. It's not That's the thing, about this whole episode. It did not feel like it was wasting my time. Like in Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, where that movie is supposed to be based on two games, has a story of two games, but it was rush. Not only did it rush through a lot of the events, but waste so much time focusing on everything else besides what's important. So here, because it is a TV series, they are extending the story of what we know from the games. So yeah, this is a good change of pace, and honestly, I'm okay with it. It did not feel like it was wasting my time. So Tommy comes in asking about the birthday pancakes, but they couldn't make it because they don't have pancake mix. And then Sarah goes to school, and then after school, she goes to this watch repair shop because she wants to fix Joel's broken watch, the watch we know that Sarah will give to him on his birthday in the Last of Us video game. So that was very, very touching. As soon as you saw the broken watch and she picked it up, I was like, "Oh my god!" So that's what they're doing. They're showing us what happened before that. So that was great. And uh, s but when, she was at the watch repair shop, it was the daughter or the wife or someone of the, repairman, and, she starts closing everything down. She told Sarah that she has to get out of here, and, it kinda reminded me of, Shaun of the Dead a little bit, like, right before the, big events happen in Shaun of the Dead, that you have, small glimpses of things that are gonna happen soon. So things that people should worry about, but you really don't because it seemed minor at the time. So there was like this news report in Jakarta, and then the wife telling her husband to close up the shop very quickly and everything. And also, you see a hint of the next door neighbor's mother is most likely infected because she was twitching and jerking and opening her mouth and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of hints that something bad is going to happen. Also, the police cars going by and the helicopters. So yeah, you do see hints of that. Um, they changed the neighbor this time around. I don't think the man's name is Jimmy this time. I believe his name is Mr. Adler, unless Jimmy's last name is Adler in the video game, but I don't believe so. I believe they just call him Jimmy. So yeah, the neighbors are changed. Now it's a man, his wife, and their mother. And the mother is in a wheelchair. So Sarah was over there doing her homework, and she wants to borrow. I forgot the title of the DVD, but what it's made up. It's like some Cobra Ninja kind of thing. And if you played the games, you know that Joel loves these kinds of movies. Joel and Sarah. So Sarah borrowed it. She got out of there, and she did not sleep at all. She stayed awake at 10 p.m. waiting for Joel the whole time. So Joel finally comes in, and he forgot the birthday cake and everything. But Sarah gives him the watch, and I gotta say the dialogue in this episode so far, I think about 5% of it is from the video game. So every time you do hear the character lines, I want to point at the screen and go, "Ha! He said it. She said it. They said it." So when Joel asks Sarah, "Oh, where did you get the money for this?" And Sarah said, "Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs." I was so happy. So yeah, the events play so far right now. The events kind of play the same in the game. So Sarah and Joel are watching TV. Sarah goes to sleep, and then Joel later brings her to her bed. But now it's changed a little bit because in the game, Joel went to check on his next door neighbor, and then he comes back in, and Tommy was trying to call for him because it was an emergency and everything, and shit was going down. That was in the game, but here it's different because Sarah is asleep on the couch, and Joel gets a phone call from Tommy, and Tommy was in trouble beating up some people, and then he got sent to jail, and he had to be bailed out. So that's why Joel wasn't in the house this time. Uh, so Joel put Sarah to bed, and then Joel got out and had to go bail out Tommy. But Sarah wakes up because of the explosions happening and helicopters, and the next door's neighbor's dog alerted her too. So she went to check up on them, and it turned out that the mother, the old mother in the wheelchair, was actually infected. She is now a runner. She bit and infected the man and the woman. So she started chasing after Sarah. Sarah gets out, and Joel and Tommy just happen to get there in time, and Joel comes out using a wrench and bashes the head of the mother, the old mother. So he drops the wrench, and I understand from a character perspective that he had to kill his next door neighbor, a neighbor he knew for a very long time. So that's why he dropped the wrench, and he was shocked and everything. But as a guy, for me, as a guy who played way too many video games and watched too many movies of people, zombies and everything, if the wrench is not broken, especially since it's made out of metal, you have to hold on to it, you know? So that's why I was like, why'd you drop the wrench? You could use it. You need it. So that's just me. I understand. From a character perspective, I do understand that. But from a horror game and movie fan perspective, you gotta hold on to it. And Tommy, in the game, Joel gave Tommy his gun. So, and Joel had like a pistol, but here Tommy had brought his own gun, which is a rifle. So that was an interesting change from the game. So now we get back to what same thing happened in the game. Joel killed the neighbor. Sarah said, you killed the neighbor," and then they go in the car and they experience the house is on one of their neighbors' house is on fire. Then they had to pass a family with a child, so they said, "Oh, keep driving." And you do see the highway that's fully blocked. So that part was from the game. Then it changed a bit this time because in the game, you see when the highway was blocked, and then the infected came from the hospital and started attacking the people on the highway. So that's why Joel, Tommy, and Sarah had to get out of there. But here, because the highway is blocked, Joel said, "Oh, we have to cut through." So they tried cutting through the fields and going into the town, and then that's when all the chaos happens. So things changed a bit in the TV series. Now we see actual planes falling from the sky and hitting the ground. And yeah, there's a lot of chaos happening. People are running everywhere, trying to avoid everybody, and also the infected are running too. And then one of the planes fell, and the engine came off and hit the Tommy's truck. So that's what caused the car crash this time around. Because in the game, it was another car that hit Tommy's car. So that's changed this time. So Sarah's leg is injured, so that's why she could not run. So Joel has to pick her up, and that's the same thing from the game as well. But now it's a little bit changed too, because after Joel gets Sarah out of the truck and Tommy gets out of the truck on the other side, another truck came in and crashed into Tommy's truck, and everything's on fire. So Tommy is separated from Joel and Sarah. So now Tommy has to find another way around just to get to Joel and Sarah. In the game, they were together and they were being chased by the infected until they go inside this diner or bar. And then Tommy was holding back the door so Joel and Sarah could try to get out of there as quickly as possible. But here, yeah, Tommy and Joel and Sarah are separated, so Joel and Sarah has to go through the town trying to find a way out. And that's when they encountered one of the infected runners, and that guy was running towards them and trying to infect them. And then there was this chase through this diner, and it's like World War Z. So the infected was running, bashing into everything, and then Joel and Sarah finally get out of the diner. They were like, I guess, like 100 feet or so away from the diner, and then the infected runner gets shot by the soldier. So that's a little different from the game because, again, in the game, Joel and Sarah were being chased by a few runners, and then they had to go up the hill, and then they were saved by the soldier. So the layout is a little different. But it's the same thing. It's the same event anyway. So now we get to Sarah's death. So I can't believe I had to see Sarah die at least 4 different times. 4 different times. Wow. So, it's the same thing that happened from the game. The soldier was calling it in, and he was ordered to shoot down anybody. So that's why he shot at Joel and Sarah. And Joel did get wounded, but not as bad as Sarah. Sarah's was more fatal. And then we get wow, Nico Parker knocked it out of the park. I did not I did not blame her for Dumbo. Like the kid actors in that movie were bad, but it's not their fault. I really blame Tim Burton for directing them like that, and also the script. So I felt like they had potential. So Nico Parker, she acted her ass off in this, man. Like she sold everything, and her death as Sarah was still heartbreaking. Man, Sarah's death in live action is still heartbreaking, man. I saw Sarah died in the PS3 version. I saw her die in the PS4 remaster. I saw her die in the PS5 remake. And now I saw her die in live action. I saw Sarah die 4 different times, man. And it still got to me. It still made tug at my heartstrings, and it still made me cry. And I heard people in the audience. It was packed. It was a packed event. I heard people in the audience started to sob and weep and stuff like that. So that's a great sign. That means you got everyone hooked right there. Man, that was good. So Sarah's death, man. Wow, Nico Parker was excellent. Oh man. So now we cut to 20 years later, and again, it's a little different from the game because we focus on this little boy who really doesn't have much of a significance. It is just more for world building, and I'm okay with that because it was only for a couple minutes anyway. So this kid was just walking across this forest, and then he ends up at the entrance of the city. So it's like a giant fence with 2 doors, and there were these soldiers, and they found him being, dehydrated and hungry and everything. So they brought him in, and then they scanned him, and it shows up red. Red means that you are infected. So when the Fedra soldier realized that the kid is infected, and then one of the soldiers gave him a needle, and it turns out that yeah, the kid's gonna die. So then I believe we see Joel take the body of the kid and threw him into the fire. I believe it's the same kid. I did not pay attention to the sneakers. They did show the sneakers for like 10 seconds or so. So I believe it's the same kid. If not, then I guess it's a different kid. But still, there was this dilemma because the worker who's been shoving bodies into the fire sees the kid and just says, "No, I cannot do this, man." So that's why Joel had to do it. Threw away the kid, and Joel was used to it, so that's why he was okay with throwing the dead body of the child into the fire. So now everything's 20 years later. So now it takes place in the year 2023. So yeah, I thought that was interesting because in the game, when it first starts out, it starts in the year 2013, and then the 20 years section, that means that it was 2033. So here, it's now 2023. So I found that very interesting, and I'm okay with that because when it took place in 2003, there were no real smartphones. They're just regular handheld, flip phones. So technology is not as is limited. But again, a smartphone wouldn't work that much in in 20 in the post-apocalypse anyway. But still, it's a little detail, but I'm okay with it being set in 2003 and then later in 2023. So Joel talks to one of the Fedra soldiers, and Joel gave him drugs while the Fedra soldier gave him some papers. I didn't fully understand what the papers were really because I maybe they're a currency, maybe there's something else, I don't know. But Joel was trying to find a truck battery because he's trying to get to Tommy. So yeah, now the motivations are different this time around because in the game, Joel just wakes up having a nightmare, and then Tess comes in, telling him that she got jumped by Robert's men, and they want to have a word with him because Robert has their stuff, and they are most likely going to kill him. So yeah, that was the motivation at that point. Here, it's different because, and also in the game, later on when Marlene needs Joel and Tessa's help to get Ellie back to the Fireflies, that was the main goal. That was the main motivation. And Joel later on tries to go to the Fireflies, but then he has to find Tommy because Tommy would know the location of the Fireflies. So that's that in the game. Here it's different because already Joel is trying to go for Tommy because he heard on the radio that something bad happened to Tommy. So that's why he's doing all this. He's trying to get the truck battery and everything. So it shows Tess, and she's being beaten up by Robert and his men. And after that, there was an explosion that happens that breaks the wall, and Robert escapes, and a couple and the guys were dead. Tess gets out, and she realizes that the Fireflies and the Fedra soldiers were shooting at each other. So she was holding up her hands towards the Fedra soldiers, and the Fedra soldiers detain her for the night. So, and this time, Tess is really beaten up. She has one big swollen eye right here. So, yeah, she looks much more different than she did from the games. Because in the games, even though she does have a couple wounds, she doesn't look that bad compared to Tess in here. Tess really looks horrible with the giant bruised, swollen eye right here. But it is realistic, and I like that. And then we see Ellie much earlier on than we're supposed to see her in the game. So Ellie is in handcuffs. She's chained up to the radiator, and one of the Fireflies comes in and tells her to repeat the numbers. So Ellie goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fuck you. That was great. And yeah, Bella Ramsey. This is one of her first lines, one of the first things she did, and she got me right there. She got me. She was great. And she doesn't say that her name is Ellie. She keeps saying she's Veronica. So later on, Merle Dandridge comes back as Marlene, and she's talking with her subordinate, and they were discussing about the areas about where the Fedra soldiers' locations are, and they're trying to track this down. And also, Marlene finally tells her about what they have to do with Ellie. So Marlene talks to Ellie, and she knows that she is Ellie, and then it stops there. And then we see Joel talking with a guy and talking about Tommy. And then later on, he goes back to his apartment, and he was trying to get ready. He falls asleep, and then the next day, he wakes up and he talks to Tess. Tess was making breakfast for him, and he asks Tess what happened to her face, and then she tells him that she got jumped by Robert. Let's go kill that son of a bitch. So they have to go find Robert to find the truck battery and also kill him. So Joel and Tess are packed up and ready. They have their book bag, they have the clothes that is from the games. So they go through the subway station, and they changed something this time around. So this is, I don't know how I feel about this yet. I kind of don't like it. And also, this is the first episode. Maybe we don't see it yet, but I did hear news about this too. There are no spores this time around. So no one has to wear a gas mask anymore, with filters and everything. They don't have to wear masks anymore. I kind of don't like that. I mean, I understand why you would do that because it is a TV show. You want to show as much as the actor's face as possible. And also, it's much easier to hear their voices and stuff without the masks and everything. I can understand that on the technical point, but I kind of don't like it because I honestly like that, the spores were a thing. Like, if you breathe it, then you become infected immediately. So that's why it's always a dangerous situation to be in. So it's really intense. So yeah, that's the thing. Maybe from a technical point, they tried like putting spores all over the screen and stuff like that, but it's live action, so it doesn't look that good or something like that, or it's causes too much problems for them for the production or something like that, or for the story. I don't know exactly. But I kind of don't like it. I did hear that the tendrils are what can infect the person, and I can buy that because they are fungi. It makes sense. But at the same time, I wish that the spore aspect was kept. So they saw this clicker that's fused to the wall, and it's already dead. And so yeah, there were no spores or anything too. So they are able to breathe fine, and then they just pass it. That's it. So yeah, that was one of the things that I didn't like. Again, like I said, there might be a payoff to it. Like, okay, maybe the tendrils are still like the spores, so it could infect people easily. So I'll be okay with that. But for now, I just don't like that spores are not a thing. So that's my problem with that part so far. So Joel and Tess gets out of the station and they go into this apartment building, and then they realize that Robert is dead. So this is the thing I did not like a lot. Like this is the biggest thing I didn't like in this episode. Robert is already dead. Robert had like 3 minutes of screen time, and then he's dead. Like, it's not like I know in the game he doesn't have that much screen time as well, but in the game it seemed like he was a big boss, in a way. Like, sure, there's no boss fight against him, but what I mean is like he's this big honcho, and that's why he hires all these guys, and that's why Joel and Tess has to navigate through all of this and try to survive and fight every single one of Robert's men, or bypass them and stuff like that just to get to Robert. So yeah, in the game, that's why it felt like Robert is of big importance. And also that chase, and then Tessa breaks his leg and then later shoots him. So it felt satisfying. So here we have a good actor for Robert too. I thought he really pulled it off. He was really, really good. But you're telling me that we get that small extended scene with Tess that was not from the game, which is fine, which is fine. But then when we finally see him again, he's just dead. Tess doesn't shoot him, Joel doesn't kill him, he's already dead. So that's why I was very disappointed by this. And it's something that you cannot fix later on in the show because Robert's dead. What else can you do? Are you going to show like a flashback with him? What's the point? You killed him off. So that's why I was disappointed because Tess doesn't kill him. Joel doesn't kill him. He's already dead by the time we see him again. I did not like that. But Joel realized that Marlene and her subordinate were in the hallway next to them. And then Ellie tries to attack Joel, and Joel threw her against the wall and takes the knife. And Joel and Ellie keeps trying to grab at the knife, but Joel's like, So he keeps pointing the gun at her, and Marlene's like, no, keep pointing the gun at me. Yeah, this whole scene, this whole interaction was really, really good. And this show can be funny. And it's not like, oh, it's like the MCU movie humor or something like that. Like it has to go really over the top with the jokes because it has to be funny, but it always feels unnatural. No, this felt natural. This felt like something that Ellie would say. This felt like something that Marlene would say. So that's why I really like the dialogue here. So Ellie keeps getting pissed that Joel has her knife under his boot and doesn't want to give it back to her, and Marlene keeps wanting Joel and Tess to help them so they could get Ellie to the Fireflies, but the subordinate says, "No, I can't let you do that. Let me bring Ellie." And Marlene's like, "Girl, you do not have a woman." Woman, you do not have a hair in your head, so shut the fuck up. So that was hilarious. And everything Ellie said was also hilarious. So Joel and Tessa, they go a little bit they go into the back area of the hallway so they could discuss the plan. And Marlene overhears them, and she said, "Listen, you could keep talking, but I'm bleeding to death here." So that was funny. So yeah, Joel and Tess eventually agrees. They agreed to take Ellie. Then they go to Joel's apartment while Tess has to get the supplies and everything just to get ready. So now it kind of plays off the same as it did from the game. So Joel was sleeping on the couch, and Ellie notices the broken watch. So she says, "Your watch is broken, by the way." So then he wakes up, and now it's a little change from the game because now we have to discuss about the radio. So Joel has this radio, and every time he plays, it plays a song. It could be from the 80s and 90s, 60s, or something like that. So he has a code, and Ellie knows that it is a Morse code. So she wanted to know what the 80s song is about. So she said, "Oh, the radio played while you were sleeping." And he said, "Oh," and she said, "Yeah, I believe it's from Wham, like uh, Goodbye a Go Go or something like that." And he said, "Oh shit," and she said, "Ha ha, I broke your code." So that was fun. So now Tess comes back, and Joel, Ellie, and Tess are have to get out of the city, and then they get encountered by the Fedra soldier that knows Joel. So he has them all at gunpoint, and then he was scanning each and every one of them. And when he scans Ellie, Ellie stabs him in the leg, and the soldier was about to shoot at Ellie, and Joel had no choice but to beat the living hell out of him. So he kills the soldier this time. He did not shoot him. He just beats the hell out of him. I'm pretty sure that the soldier is dead, unless they show him again later on. But again, I believe he's dead. So now Tess and Joel realize, based on the machine, that Ellie is infected, and Tess was thinking about killing her at that point. But the soldiers started to come, and then Joel, Tess, and Ellie have to go into the buildings. So that's where the episode ends. So I'm okay with that because so far the pacing is very good. And honestly, if you played The Last of Us Part 1 video game and you played it normally, like you scavenge, you listen to all the dialogue, you did not skip any cutscenes, if you played it for about 80 minutes, then yeah, you would end up at the skyscraper section. So it does make sense. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, so episode one is gonna be this, then episode two is gonna be with the skyscrapers and the museum, and then right before Joel and Ellie have to separate from Tess. So that's probably episode two. Episode three would most likely be about Bill. So yeah, I believe that this show, if they're trying to fit all nine the if they're trying to fit the stories of The Last of Us Part 1, including the Left Behind DLC, across these 9 episodes, I think they could do it. I think it could be done well. I think it could be done with justice. So that's where the episode ends, but the screening does not end there for me because they gave us a tease of what's going to happen in the rest of the episodes. And the final shot shows Joel going through the labs. So that means that, okay, so that is definitely gonna happen in the final episode. Joel will be going through the labs with the gun. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And I forgot to mention that the Nick Offerman, the voice of him, he did some voiceover work for just the screening alone. So he was telling people, "Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Offerman. I am not in this episode, so please keep your expectations low." And also, if you do spoil anything from this screening, I will find you and I will kill you. I can do that because I'm Nick Offerman. Oh man. So yeah, that was great. That was really, really good. So yeah, I had a great time with the press screening. I had a great time with the episode. I cannot wait to watch the other 8 episodes. I can't wait to rewatch this episode again on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, I gotta get HBO Max again. I canceled it for a few months because I wasn't using it that much. I was watching more on Netflix, but now I have to sign up again. And yes, I know about the pay increase. I believe it's $15.99 this time around. But yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. And so far, yes, I highly recommend the show. Even if you never played the games, I still recommend it because it is so far a good show. And also, you wouldn't feel lost. Like you would know the characters well enough from this episode alone, and I'm happy about that. I was a bit worried with Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann giving these interviews, and because they seem very cringy and they keep saying like, "Oh, The Last of Us video game has the best story of all time." I don't believe that's true. I love The Last of Us video game. I still think it's one of the greatest stories. I don't think it's the greatest stories. I think it's just one of them. But yeah, I think that all these interviews about it, trying to overhype the show, I thought would hurt it a bit. But again, I was surprised at how good the show was. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Okay, guys, so that's how I feel about The Last of Us TV series, episode 1. Write down in the comments below if you've seen the episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know. How do you feel about the video games? Let me know about that too. All right, guys, if you liked this video, please click the like button. And if you want, and please share it with others as well if you do like it that much. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.